Safety Foundation specialist for your free estimate.
Can't he can fix it.
From the station that's on your side, this is News 12, First at 5.
Richmond County Deputy Kenneth Mercer is still fighting for his life after a shooting in downtown Augusta in the middle of a busy afternoon. Deputies first responding to Ellis Street just after 11:30 in the morning. Deputies say they were called about a suspect with a gun. In just the last 30 minutes, the coroner identifying him as 36-year-old Wrdw Sejour. The GBI says deputies found him in an enclosed area of a business. The GBI says Sejour exchanged gunfire with deputies while they were trying to get him to surrender. Now, Deputy Mercer is still in the hospital this evening with unknown injuries. We go now live at 5 to Hallie Turner in the newsroom with how the community is responding to this shooting. Hallie.
Yeah, well, the family tells me this is a very trying time for them, and right now they are not ready to speak about it. But lots of people who knew him have posted on social media to show their love, support, and more. Before joining the Richmond County Sheriff's Office, Deputy Mercer worked about an hour away in Sandersville, Georgia at the Sandersville Police Department. At the time, he worked alongside now the Chief of Police, Victor Collier. Collier says when you become a police officer early on, one thing they address is the standard work environment is always unpredictable. He says some will follow the law and others won't. He says no matter the situation, during the 3 years they worked together, Deputy Mercer always had a smile on his face, and it's one of the most important characteristics.
The most important thing and one of the key things is the fact that he loved what he did. So whenever you find a police officer who just love being the police, that's always a good thing, because you know, people need to be in career fields that they really want to do. And Ken Mercer was the one. He really wanted to be the police.
And coming up all new tonight on News 12 at 6 o'clock, we're giving you an inside look into just how much this officer has impacted the community he serves.
Absolutely, a terrible situation happening right there again in the heart of downtown Augusta. Later on, we're hearing from city officials coming up in the next half hour. Thanks for that update there, Hallie.
Well, it has been a very wet start to the week. We've actually picked up over 2 inches of rain officially at Daniel Field, just off Wrightsboro Road, and a large swath around the Augusta Metro have picked up anywhere from 2 to 2.5 inches, potentially even more. The further you go into Aiken County between New Ellenton and Williston, possibly up to 3 inches there, just off 278. Rain is finally starting to come to an end for us here around the Augusta Metro. Most of that rain now moving well east of us, impacting areas around Barnwell, Bamberg, Allendale County. That's going to continue moving off towards the east, and we're actually seeing a little bit of sunshine out there in a few parts of the CS area this afternoon. This is just a long 12-hour loop of all the rain that impacted us this morning through midday, even into this afternoon. A little bit drier air is going to be moving in behind this, thanks to this front sagging a little bit further south. It's not going to go too far away, so unfortunately not a huge benefit with a real drop in our humidity, but it will feel a little bit better for us heading into our Tuesday and Wednesday. Here's a live look out of our Aiken County weather stem camera. You can see still pretty cloudy conditions outside, and that's helped keep our temperatures mainly in the 70s most of the day. 76 right now in Aiken. Still feeling a little bit humid out there, though. As we continue into this evening, temperatures fairly comfortable, most likely going to stay into the 70s around sunset towards midnight, and mostly dry conditions, especially if you're staying right here around Augusta. Not much rain our forecast for the rest of this evening into tonight. And good news is we are going to continue the drier trend Tuesday, Wednesday. Not much rain our forecast. Not until Thursday and Friday we do start to increase those storm chances once again. One thing we may have to worry about early tomorrow morning is some patchy dense fog, so watch out for that early morning commute. Have a look at the rest of the forecast for you in just about 10 minutes. Let's get a quick update on your First Alert traffic.
And now, First Alert traffic.
All right, take a look at our cameras across the area. And how about this? Just outside of our studio, some blue sky overhead. A beautiful afternoon just outside. Not really seeing huge impacts traffic-wise. Looks like I-20 eastbound, westbound lanes moving okay. And Riverwatch Parkway not backed up too much either. Going out to Grovetown, sunshine over Columbia County. You can see that cloud cover just moving off towards the east. Should see clear skies over the next couple of hours. And looks like traffic's okay in Grovetown as well. Have an update on some hot temps to end the week in just about 10 minutes.
Thanks, Riley. As the CSRA deals with the deputy injured in a shooting over the weekend. Deputies in Crisp County, Georgia, gathering today to lay rest to one of their own. Flags are at half staff today at the Georgia State Capitol and in Crisp County, which is about an hour south of Macon. 26-year-old Deputy Ty Brown was shot and killed during a traffic stop last Wednesday. The suspect who shot Deputy Brown leading law enforcement on a multi-county car chase before being arrested hours later. Brown was with the department for less than a year. His funeral was today, where hundreds lined the streets in his honor. The GBI is investigating Brown's death. His suspected killer is facing more than a dozen charges, including murder. South Carolina's top prosecutor says the way the state selects its judges needs to be reformed, and he's vowed to put his support behind efforts in the state legislature to do it. South Carolina is one of 2 states in which the General Assembly elects judges. Our State House reporter Mary Green has the details from Charleston.
South Carolina's General Assembly is out of session right now, but a host of state lawmakers are here in Charleston this week for the annual Southern Legislative Conference. Attorney General Alan Wilson says that presents an opportunity to get a group of them together to talk judicial reform before the state's next legislative session starts in January.
We don't want to wait till December to have the conversation. We would like to raise the awareness now, create some synergy, and get some energy behind this thing so that when we hit Christmas and we hit the new year, we're running full speed on a real reform package.
In South Carolina, judicial candidates go before a 10-member screening panel that reports 3 qualified candidates to the entire General Assembly to pick between. That screening panel is made up of citizen lawyers and legislators, and typically the legislators are also lawyers. Proposals to change this system range from switching up that committee's makeup, including banning lawyer legislators from serving on it, to giving the governor the power to appoint judges with senators' approval. More than 30 state lawmakers from both parties and both chambers were in the room Monday, and there was no clear consensus among them on which reforms they should push. Many say they feel public confidence in the system has waned.
The appearance of undue, too much politics at play is what gives the general public a sense that it's not necessarily being done the right way. And until we can remove that and restore that confidence, I think we're going to continue to have problems.
A number of judicial reform bills were filed in the legislature this year, but none of them advanced. Again, the General Assembly isn't scheduled to return to Columbia until next January. Reporting in Charleston, I'm Mary Green.
Thanks, Mary. Generally, there isn't much support for popular elections of judges. Governor Henry McMaster has voiced his support for giving the governor the power to appoint judges with senators' approval. The mayor of South Fulton, Georgia, accused of breaking into a home. Mayor Khalid Kamau was arrested Saturday after he claims that he saw a beautiful home that he thought was abandoned and went inside. He claims that he wanted to check it out because he wanted to buy it. The owner, who uses that home for storage, got an alert on his phone that someone was trying to get in. The owner then holding the mayor at gunpoint until police arrived. Kamau is charged with criminal trespass and is now out on bond, and a South Fulton councilwoman has stepped in as interim mayor. An investigation is underway on Fort Stewart in Savannah after a military vehicle drove into the headquarters building of the 3rd Infantry Division. This all happening at around 10 this morning. Nobody was hurt, according to Fort Stewart officials. The driver has been arrested and the investigation is still ongoing. We're getting a better idea of how a new park in Thompson will look. Here's a look at new images coming from the McDuffie County's government website there. The money for this new park is coming from a $2.2 million state grant, and the 3-acre park will be on Railroad Street near the county government center there. There will be playgrounds, picnic areas, a water feature, an amphitheater, and other amenities. Officials expect construction to begin later this year. The park is expected to open in 18 months. Well, U.S. officials putting out a warning for a popular energy drink sold across the country and right here in the CSRA. What you need to know coming up after the break. Riley?
And it has been a very wet Monday so far, but looking much drier over the next couple of days. We'll have a look at that full forecast coming up.
A gray and cloudy day here on Ellis and 12th Street after an eventful weekend with a shooting incident that left a deputy wounded here. All new on News 12 at 6 o'clock. We're hearing from Augusta City leaders about how they want to look towards more resources and tighter security moving forward.
For limited time.
All right, welcome back. Taking a live look outside here at downtown Augusta. Some clouds still there in downtown Augusta, Riley, but we're seeing blue skies everywhere else, it seems like.
Yeah, we finally are starting to see a little bit of clearing for mainly the central and western CS area. We're seeing a little bit clearer skies over those parts, but it's been a pretty wet day, and you can actually see the aftermath of all the rainfall at SRP Park. You can see a big puddle at first base, second base, third base. It was wet out there. Unfortunately, the Green Jackets are out of town this week. They had the Pelicans in town over the last week or so, but SRP Park will have some time to dry out before their next ball game. For the rest of this evening, if you have any plans, temps should stay in the 70s for us. It's been a struggle to make it out of the 70s since it's been so cloudy and wet. Not much rain or forecast here in Augusta for the rest of this evening and tonight, so no need from the umbrella if you are stepping out. Now here's a current look at what radar does look like out across the area. You can still see a few showers across Bamberg, Allendale, Barnwell counties. Those are moving closer towards the coast in that I-95 corridor, and we should see improving weather for the rest of the CSRA. Here's a wide look at what's going on. So all this is driven by a cold front that's slowly going to try to make its way south and east of us. It's not going to move too quickly, and honestly not going to get that far from us, but we should see it move just enough to where it does bring a little bit drier outlook heading into our Tuesday and Wednesday. Now heading into tomorrow morning, may have to watch out for some dense fog. If you have that early commute around sunrise, could be some low visibility across the area. Temperatures will be anywhere from the upper 60s to low 70s, so may feel a couple degrees cooler than what we've been able to get down to over the past couple of nights. Now Tuesday afternoon, right now we are not expecting a lot of rain. I don't want to necessarily ignore that 10% chance though, because if that 10% chance just happens to impact 90% of our population over Augusta, then a lot of people are thinking we could see a lot higher chance for rain. But honestly, folks, very, very isolated coverage of rainfall Tuesday. I would definitely keep those outdoor plants. It is going to be feeling hot. 90s for those high temps Tuesday. Same thing again on Wednesday. Wednesday afternoon, once again, just not much rain out there. So if you do have outdoor plans, not looking too bad for us over the next couple of days. Great pool weather, especially into the afternoon. Most afternoons during the summertime, we have to worry about those storms rumbling and bumbling across the area. Not really going to be the case for us Tuesday and Wednesday. Low to mid 90s the next couple of afternoons. By Thursday, and unfortunately Thursday, Friday, all the way through the weekend, that's going to feel more summer-like for us. A little bit more humidity, a little bit more heat, and also the chance for some showers and thunderstorms. So you can see as we just head past today, those rain chances gradually do tick back up just to those scattered coverage of storms Thursday all the way through Sunday. The reason why we are going to see a little bit less of those storm chances the next couple of days, we do have some slightly drier air that's going to move over the region, which means we just have less moisture to tap into for those storms. So Tuesday, Wednesday looking very nice, but watch what happens towards the end of the week. We just see a surge of that summer-like moisture just make a return to the southeast and most of the two states. So a little bit different feel in the air once we do get towards the end of the week. But looking good for our Tuesday and Wednesday. Those high temperatures tomorrow should be close to 90, mid-90s though Wednesday through the weekend. And once again, for any weekend plans, may have to dodge a few afternoon storms.
Thanks, Riley. If you or somebody you know likes energy drinks, listen up. U.S. officials are raising the alarm over the popular energy drink Prime and its potential dangers, especially to children under 18. Gloria Pazmino explains.
It's one of the hottest trends of the summer. Now, the influencer-created energy drink Prime is facing growing scrutiny.
This is an eye-popping level of caffeine for a young kid's body.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is calling on the U.S. Food and Drug Administration to investigate the product. Prime energy drinks contain more than double the caffeine of a can of Red Bull and 6 times more caffeine than a can of Coca-Cola.
The amount of caffeine in these drinks can give children and teens headaches. It can give them jitters, nervousness. It can interfere with the sleep cycle, which is so important to the developing brain.
According to its website, the company does not recommend the energy drinks for anyone under the age of 18. Still, Schumer claims the company is targeting children through social media.
Kids see it on their phones as they scroll, and then they actually have a need for it.
The company also sells a caffeine-free drink called Prime Hydration, but there are concerns the branding between the two products are too similar.
Because the product is billed as a hydration and sports drink in its other near-identical form, kids are likely to ingest cans of this stuff with the parents being unaware.
I'm Gloria Pasmino reporting.
Prime's website says its drinks are sold across the CSRA at stores including Publix, Kroger, Walmart, and also vitamin shops like GNC. Well, identity thieves are getting really good at faking you out. Up next, what you need to look out for. Stick with us.
FirstAugusta.com.
Well, if you struggle to tell the difference between a scam and a legitimate company, you're not alone. Experts say identity thieves are using advanced techniques to convince people to share their personal information. Consumer investigator Carice Jackman shares key findings from a recent identity theft resource center that you can use to help protect your personal information.
Your identity is everything in this day and age. So when someone compromises your information, it can lead to a web of problems.
And what we saw in 2022 is a continuation of a high number of victims, but also how they are being victimized.
James Lee is COO of the Identity Theft Resource Center, a nonprofit organization that focuses on minimizing the risk of fraud and identity theft for people across the country. He says they saw almost the same amount of reported identity crimes last year as they did the year prior, which was an all-time high.
We've always seen phishing attacks, but you can usually tell if it was real or not real. There is always some little subtle clue. Now, these attacks are increasingly letter perfect. You cannot tell that it is not a legitimate contact from an organization.
In its most recent reports, the ITRC highlights different trends from 2022 and found 8,100 cases of identity crimes were related to compromised information. Lee says identity thieves are also improving social engineering techniques to convince people to share their personal and business information.
Well, social engineering is where we basically manipulate you into giving us something that we want. Now, maybe that's information. Maybe that's your login and password. Could be your driver's license number.
In 2021, they found DMV accounts made up 4% of accounts that were misused or taken over. That number increased to 15% last year.
They're intercepting those in the mail as well. And they're taking that information and they're creating these letter-perfect driver's licenses that can pass inspection.
What can an average person do to protect themselves from all of this?
First and foremost, if you're concerned about your identity being misused, freeze your credit. Credit monitoring is great. It has value, no question about it. But it doesn't stop anything. It just tells you what has happened. Freezing your credit actually stops someone from opening a credit account in your name.
Another layer of protection you can take is to have different passwords.
Make sure you don't reuse passwords, because if your account is compromised, that login and password that you use on that account and every other account you have can then be used to attack other accounts you have. So one password per account.
Simple steps you can take right now to protect yourself in the future from identity crimes. With this watching your wallet, I'm Carice Jackman.
And Lee added that everyone needs to be skeptical about information that's coming their way, especially information you didn't request or ask for. That goes for phone calls, emails, and links from people that you do not know. Well, this just into our newsroom. If you saw a police presence on Newmantown Road in Grovetown, it's because police say that there was a 71-year-old man that was in the roadway with a stab wound to his hand. The suspect has been identified as the victim's son, 29-year-old Leonard Miller, and he is now facing charges of aggravated assault. We'll keep you updated with that. Well, funeral arrangements have been announced for former USC women's basketball assistant coach and two-time Olympic gold medalist Nikki McCray-Penson. Current head coach Dawn Staley making the announcement that McCray-Penson will be put to rest this Saturday in Tennessee. The 51-year-old was diagnosed with breast cancer back in 2012, but her cause of death has not been released. McCray-Penson was inducted into the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame in 2012. Riley?
Well, rain is finally coming to an end across most of the region. Rain still moving across some of our eastern counties, but dry right now here in Augusta. Now look at the forecast for the rest of the week just after the break.
Cracks in your brake repair. Ramjack's American-made products are ISO certified and recognized by the International Code Council. Don't do it twice. Do it right. Rely on Ramjack.
Well, take a look at this. Riverbank Zoo in Columbia announcing the hatching of 4 rockhopper penguin chicks. Once the chicks leave their nest, They'll learn how to swim in a kiddie pool behind the scenes and make their official debut sometime in mid-August. Rockhoppers are among some of the world's smallest penguins, standing at about 20 inches tall. Pretty cute there. Good for the Riverbank Zoo. Awesome. You got to go check it out sometime, right?
Those are pretty cool, and I'm sure they are enjoying their nice indoor environment, nice and cold for them, especially since we're in that summer heat, so that's a great place to retreat to.
And everyone probably knows them from Happy Feet. They collect the mounds of rocks, I'm assuming, the Rockhoppers.
See, Happy Feet, I guess, is y'all's generation. Do you remember The Pebble and the Penguin?
No.
That's like an early childhood movie I remember.
Y'all's generation.
And there was a rockhopper in there. I think his name was Rocco, and he was a rockhopper.
And I have no idea what you're talking about, so you just
Those
proved
type
your
of
point,
penguin.
I guess.
Yeah, those type of penguins. Rocco was a rockhopper, but I think the actual main character in Pebble and Penguin was an emperor penguin.
Gotcha.
But may have to double check that. All right, we got the clearing skies overhead. How about this? Looking towards just outside of our studios, we got a lot of blue sky overhead. There's a little bit of some slow-moving traffic for that eastbound lane. Not too unusual for this time of day, but just a little slow-moving there. You can see looking towards the east from our downtown Augusta cam, a good bit more cloud cover. So kind of depending on where you're watching us from, maybe seeing some clearing skies. There's still a little bit of rain across Bamberg, Allendale County. Most of us should be rain-free as we do continue over the next hour or so. Temperatures trying to warm up a little bit now that we are seeing some clearing, but temperatures well below average this afternoon, but getting back to average for the rest of the week.
All right, thanks, Riley. That's all the time we have, but stick with us. We have much more news and weather coming up after a short break as News 12 Live at 5 continues.
Our hair